I actually put this together with the help of AI because I wanted something on gratitude. So it says, in the quiet moments of our lives, gratitude becomes a lens, not for perfection, but for presence. It reminds us that beauty doesn't need to shout, it lives in a gesture, a breath, a shared glance. Gratitude softens us. It invites us to stop reaching for what's missing and honor what's here. The steady friend, the unexpected laughter, even the lessons wrapped in discomfort. It's a practice, not a finish line. Compassion asks us to widen that lens, to see not just ourselves, but the stories stitched into someone else's silence. It's not always loud or heroic. Sometimes it's choosing patience over judgment or kindness over convenience. We don't need grand reasons to feel grateful, just this. We woke up. We have the chance to try again, love deeper, listen better. And when we do, when we really see each other, we build a world where healing is not an idea, but a ripple that begins with us.
Turn, turn, turn. This past week, as I mentioned to some of you before, and I mentioned a little bit just before, was the International Spiritualist Federation Congress Week, meaning that there's people that come in who are members, non-members from all over the world and join in a week-long event of classes, of services, of demonstrations, of talks, of meals together, all of those things. So it's like going to camp when you were little and just having that experience of being somewhere and staying someplace. Now, I've been to several of these events before, and generally all of them were contained or self-contained within a building or an off building very close together. This was on the Loyola campus university outside of Baltimore, about 20, 25 minutes. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful setting. However, the last time I was in a dorm in college, I was 20 years old, right? Well, whatever, 18, 19, 20, 21, in that range. When you're 70 and you go back to college, it's not so easy. There's long walks, there's places that are spread out, there are bunk beds, there are all kinds of things, sharing bathrooms, sharing time, sharing space. It started off a little difficult for a lot of people because it was literally 100 degrees and 100% humidity. So this hair, which doesn't do well in that, looked like I had an afro from back in the 60s by the second day. So you're going through this thing like, oh my God, my hair's sticking out here. You're sweating, you're walking, you're dealing with a lot of administrative stuff, in a sense, not me so much, but the committee that put this together. You're dealing with complaints, you're dealing with some rooms not having air conditioning. And this is how the week started, right? Or our time together started. So you kind of go into it feeling like, why am I here? Why am I here? And a lot of people were saying, why are we here? There were people from 9 different countries. You had people that flew in from Australia, 24-hour flight. You had people from Austria. You had people from Iceland, Finland, Sweden. You had people from the UK. You had people from Chile. You had people from Peru. You had people from the United States, which was a majority of people. So there were, I don't know if I listed all 9, but there were 9 countries. Generally, there's 14 or 15 countries represented. But many people did not want to come into America right now. They didn't feel safe. So they chose not to come, which is absolutely their right and their opinion, but it brought down the numbers from people outside in different countries. But you could see them walking around the same thing. Why did I fly from Australia, right, to deal with this heat, to deal with this? And we were all a bit tense. We were all a bit cranky, I would say, in that first day and a half. But turn, 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 right? looking at it from the perspective of once we went into opening ceremony for the group, once Richard did his demonstration of mediumship for that service, once Rosemary did her inspirational address, which was absolutely phenomenal, you start to look at it, okay, it's maybe not about the dorms, the bunk beds. Maybe it's not about the shared bathroom. Maybe it's not about the afro frizz hair that everybody was dealing with. Maybe there's something more. There is a reason for anything if you look for it. And as the week started, that was Friday night, I'm sorry, Saturday night, Sunday started our classes. So this was the schedule, just to give you an idea of if you did everything in the day, why I feel like I have a little jet lag. 7:15 in the morning, you could go to yoga or meditation. 8 o'clock breakfast. 9:15 was their first class, which was 2.5 hours. 15 minutes brought you to lunch. 15 minutes after that brought you to your second class. At the end of that, there was a break of about 45 minutes, and then you could go to healing. And again, this is a choice. You could go to healing, which was lovely, from people all over the world as healers. And then you had dinner break. And then at 7:30, there was either a demonstration of mediumship, a demonstration of trance, or some sort of presentation. It's a lot. They're 14, 15-hour days if you do all of it. But again, as these things started, you started to see people gel. You started to see the classes gel. You started to see people from all over the world that spoke different languages, had different customs, did not understand American bacon at all, was foreign to them. All of these choices that they had to make coming into, a different type of a culture. People started to feel the spirit world. They started to feel the sense of purpose as a group, as a community. They started to maybe not always agree on certain things, but they started to listen to each other. The afro hair didn't matter anymore. The walk from the dorm, all of a sudden there were shuttle buses available, or people who had cars were carting people back and forth. Things got resolved that needed to get resolved that way. But the intensity and the growth of people connecting to the energy of spirit became the predominant feeling. So what happened after those first couple of days? You saw people hugging each other. You saw people who didn't know each other starting to talk to each other, starting to learn about each other, starting to understand cultural differences or different ways. I love the Icelandic people, but they are a hardy stock and they're not very expressive. And so you would have somebody in your class who would sit there like this and like, oh my gosh, am I even reaching into what they need from this? But it wasn't anything more than culture. That's how they are. That's how they deal with life. So we are learning about each other. We're starting to understand that we are brought here together for purposes other than what we may think. So it's not about the political scene. It's not about the 100% humidity. It's not about the fact that breakfast wasn't served on time. It was that we were there together, and we were there for a common purpose of working with the spirit world in so many ways, whether it was mental mediumship, trance mediumship, spirit art, whether it was healing art, whatever it happened to be. And so when we look at these things that we get thrown at in life, and we all do because we live on this physical world, we look at the lesson. What is the lesson in terms of why I'm feeling this way, or why I've gotten myself into this state, or why, I don't mean state New Jersey, I mean emotional state. Why, are things not going smoothly for me? Why? And many of us, my hands up on this, we get into the victim mode of it's happening to me. and why. But if we can just step beyond that, look at it from a different perspective and see and understand, or start to understand the lesson in the difficulty, and we start to understand that then we have control and can do something about that lesson in our life, then we move and we move and we move through it. Then we find ourselves on the other side, hugging, learning, being with, and understanding. And it was a very transformative experience for me and for many people to understand that we're not alone in this. I've been doing mediumship for 27, 28 years. I've lost count. Not a long time compared to some people, and a longer time compared to some people. That's my journey in this. But I'm still learning about the spirit world. I'm still open, I thought, to learning about the spirit world. But I recognize in this last year, because of demands on my time in various places, I wasn't really open to learn from the spirit world. I was more like, oh my God, I got to do this. Here you are again, and it was transformative for me in the sense of it got me back in sync. It got me back in sync. Not worrying about the hair, not worrying about the 100 degrees, not worrying about we had to hike, we had to walk, we had to do whatever we did. But it got me back into sync with understanding, feeling, and knowing that we do not walk alone in our lessons, in what we're learning, in what we need to walk through. Sometimes that's not easy to walk through. So at the end of the week, which was technically Saturday morning, but Friday night, after the closing part of the day, we had classes and dinner and closing part. We went back to this room that they had put together for us, and there was cash bar. Not that I'm saying that you have to have alcohol to have fun. It wasn't that, but people were relaxing now that things were over and having fun, and there was music on to dance to. And you saw people that at the beginning of the week didn't understand each other or avoided each other or whatever the case is, sitting together, laughing together, dancing together. We had our friend Richard Scholler in the middle of that dance, as you would think and understand, and just having a great time. Talking to people who maybe in the beginning of the week you were like, well, not sure about their motive or or what they're here for. Just understanding each other, and hopefully everybody understanding you and where you are in your journey and coming through in that way. So the touches into the work this week was something that I appreciated, and hopefully everybody did that was there. But it really got me thinking in the sense of what was the lesson of that. We could have gone and booked into a hotel, 3, 4, or 5-star hotel. That would have been a totally different experience. But would it have given what that gave? Don't know, but I would think not. So to me, no matter what the issue is, what the difficulty is, what is going on, if we can remember we're not alone, not only with friends, but with the spirit side, if we can bring that energy of the spirit world closer to us, with us, and know that we have that to work with, can those challenges be better? I don't know, because that's an individual thing. Our lessons are individual. We may share some of those lessons in a way, but the individual also has to go through it in their way, walk through it, see it from the different side, turn this perspective of the victim to perhaps your own savior. And I don't mean that in the religious way. We have more power within us than we know. And sometimes it's just a matter of being in an uncomfortable situation and walking through that process to see what could be. So that is my experience this week. I'm sure there's 1,001 stories that will pop up on Facebook or around, social media from points of view, from different perspectives. You can't please everybody, and some people were not happy about the situations, and they chose to make a different decision. Some people went to a hotel, some people did a lot of complaining. But again, when we look at it as somebody's lesson, somebody's challenge, that may be their challenge, their lesson. I have no right to judge it. I have no right to judge it. Let them do their walk through that lesson. So my goal this coming, day, week, months, year, is to remember what I learned this week in terms of my connection to the spirit world and my understanding of the spirit world. And also, when I see somebody that I don't understand, or I experience somebody I don't understand, not in terms of language, but in terms of the way that they are dealing and walking through life, I can't judge that. I have to do my own work. And in that own work, find the lesson, look for the solution, and live my life in that way going forward. So turn. And for every reason and season, there is a purpose. For every day that my hair is out here, there's a purpose. For every day my feet swelled because we walked 500 miles in a day, there's a purpose. For every person that I thought was doing this to me and not letting me in, there was a purpose. And for every day, I became more and more thankful for our community, for the community that was there, and for the ability that we have to work with the spirit world in any way, shape, or form we can. So this is not a plug for the ISF. It's just a sense of my experience in this last week, my lesson, and hopefully you can take some of that and put it into what you may be going through or experiencing or working through. That we don't know what's to come until we walk towards it, walk through it, and understand that we're not alone. So thank you